They called me the Boy Plunder. They called me the Great Bear of Wall Street. They gave me names that made me sound invincible, like I had been born with some gift the rest of the world was denied. But I want to tell you something today, something I wish someone had sat me down and said when I was still a young man chalking ticker prices on a board in Payne Weber's bucket shop in Boston. I was not born a winner. I was born a losing trader, and the most important battle I ever fought was not against J.P. Morgan, not against the market panic of 1907, not even against the crash of 1929. The most important battle I ever fought was against myself. You are watching this channel because something inside you already knows what I am about to say. You have felt it, that pull in your chest when a trade goes against you and you hold on anyway, telling yourself it will come back. You have felt it when you doubled down on a position that was bleeding you dry, because admitting you were wrong felt worse than losing the money. You have felt it when the market was screaming at you to wait, and your hands moved anyway, impatient, reckless, hungry. That thing you felt that is the losing trader within you. And until you outgrow it, no strategy, no chart pattern, no hot tip will ever be enough to save you. I want you to stop what you are doing right now and check the description below this video. My team has put together an ebook called Thinking Like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk. Everything I'm going to share with you in this video, the psychology, the pain, the hard-won lessons, goes even deeper in that book. The link is in the description. Read it alongside what I am telling you today, and you will begin to see the market in a way most traders never will. Now, let me take you back to a place that still humbles me when I think about it. I had made my first real fortune by the time I was in my early 30s. I had beaten the bucket shops. I had learned to read the tape like it was a language only I could speak. I had timed the panic of 1907 so precisely that I walked away with $3 million while the rest of Wall Street was on its knees. I was certain, absolutely certain, that I had conquered myself. I believed the losing trader inside me was dead. He was not dead. He was waiting. Because what I had not yet learned was this: the market will always find the crack in your character. Always. It is not personal. The market does not hate you. It does not love you either. It is a great, indifferent force, and it will flow directly through whatever weakness you have refused to address. For me, that weakness was overconfidence. After great success, I stopped listening to the market and started listening to myself. I stopped following my own rules, the same rules I had bled to discover, and started believing I was above them. Within a few years of my greatest triumph, I had lost everything. Not once, more than once. If you have been following this channel, you already know that I have talked about some of these principles separately. I have spoken about the importance of timing, not just of entries, but of the patience required to wait for the right moment before you ever put a single dollar at risk. If you have not seen that video yet, I want you to go find it on this channel after you finish watching this one, because what I am building for you here today is not a standalone lesson. It is part of a larger architecture of understanding. Each video on this channel is a brick. Today, I am laying the foundation. The losing trader inside you is not stupid. Do not make that mistake. He is intelligent. He is persuasive. He speaks in your own voice, which is why he is so dangerous. He says things like, "This time is different." He says, "I have done my research. The fundamentals are strong." He says, "I cannot afford to take this loss right now." He wraps his worst advice in the language of reason, and he delivers it at precisely the moment when your emotions are running highest and your judgment is running lowest. That is when he strikes. At the peak of your fear or the peak of your greed, he is there, and he sounds exactly like wisdom. I learned at tremendous cost that there are really only two kinds of traders. There are those who eventually outgrow the losing trader within them, and there are those who never do. The ones who never do spend their entire lives blaming the market, blaming bad luck, blaming manipulation, blaming anything and everything except the one variable they actually have control over. And the ones who do outgrow it, they do not do it by becoming emotionless. They do not do it by becoming machines. They do it by becoming deeply, ruthlessly honest with themselves about who they are when the pressure is on. Let me tell you who I was when the pressure was on, before I learned better. I was impatient. I wanted to be in the market always, as if sitting still meant missing something. I want you to hear that clearly, because I suspect you recognize it. The market rewards patience with a cruelty that feels like irony. The longer you can wait, the more it gives you. But most traders cannot stand the silence. They confuse activity with progress. They confuse movement with direction. I was one of them, and it cost me in ways I am still not entirely comfortable describing. That discomfort is important. Hold on to it. We are just getting started. The first real discipline I ever developed was not about reading charts. It was not about capital management, though that came later and proved critical. The first real discipline I developed was the discipline of doing nothing, of sitting on my hands, of watching the market move without me, and resisting the almost physical urge to chase it. That sounds simple. It is one of the hardest things I have ever done, and I failed at it repeatedly before I got it right. Here is what I came to understand. The market is always setting up. It is always in the process of telling you something, but it speaks on its own timeline, not yours. Most of the signals that look compelling in the moment are noise. The real signals, the ones worth acting on, are rare, and they announce themselves clearly when you have trained yourself to wait for them. But the losing trader inside you cannot wait. He sees a move beginning, and he panics. He thinks, if I do not get in now, I will miss the whole thing. And so he gets in too early, on the wrong side of confirmation, and the market reverses on him and takes his money before the real move ever begins. I developed what I called a pivot point system, specific price levels where I knew the market was telling me something real, not just flickering. I would not act until price reached those levels. And when it did, I would act decisively, without hesitation, without second guessing. The waiting was long, the action was fast. That is, the rhythm. Most traders have it backwards. They act slowly and hesitantly when the moment arrives, and they cannot stop themselves from acting when they should be waiting. Reversing that rhythm is one of the most transformative things you will ever do as a trader. Now, I want to connect something here that I have spoken about on this channel before, the concept of leading stocks and market leaders. If you have seen our video on how to identify the strongest stocks in any market cycle, go back and watch it now if you have not, because what I am about to say builds directly on those ideas. The losing trader chases weakness. He buys what has already fallen because it looks cheap, when in reality the market is simply agreeing, loudly and repeatedly, that the stock is worth less. The growing trader, the one who is outgrowing his losing instincts, buys strength. He buys the stocks that are already leading, already being accumulated by the smart money, already showing the kind of price action that precedes major moves. That shift in thinking alone, from buying what seems cheap to buying what is demonstrably strong, separates more winning traders from losing ones than almost any other single concept. And yet it runs against human instinct. We are wired to seek value. We are wired to want the bargain. The market does not care about bargains. The market cares about momentum, about accumulation, about the weight of money moving in a direction. Learn to read that weight, and you stop fighting the market. You start moving with it. But here is what I need you to understand about discipline and why it is not enough on its own. Discipline without self-knowledge is just rigidity. I have known traders who followed their rules mechanically, who never deviated, and still lost because their rules were built on a flawed understanding of their own psychological triggers. They did not know what made them panic. They did not know what made them greedy. They had the structure without the self-awareness, and when the market pushed them in precisely the right way, the structure cracked. Self-knowledge in trading means knowing your enemy intimately, and your enemy lives inside you. It means knowing that you tend to overtrade after a loss because you are trying to recoup emotionally, not rationally. It means knowing that you tend to take profits too early when a trade is going well because some part of you does not believe you deserve the full move. It means knowing that you add to losing positions not because of conviction, but because of ego, because being wrong is intolerable to you. These are not character flaws. They are human patterns. But in the market, they are fatal if left unexamined. I want to pause here and ask you something directly. When did you last sit down not to analyze a chart, not to review a trade, but to analyze yourself? When did you last ask honestly, why did I make that decision? Not what the market did, not what the news said. Why did I, in that specific moment, With that specific information, make the choice I made. If you cannot answer that question clearly, you are still in the early stages of becoming the trader you need to be. And that is fine. That is where almost everyone starts. But you have to start asking the question. This is one of the reasons I am so passionate about the ebook we have put together for this channel. Thinking like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk, walks you through not just the strategies, but the internal work, the kind of self-examination that turns a losing trader into a growing one. The link is in the description of this video. If you are serious about what I am telling you, that book is your next step. Read it, study it, come back to it when the market humbles you, because the market will humbles you. That is not a threat. That is a promise, and it is one of the most valuable promises the market ever makes. Now let me tell you about the moment I truly began to change. Not the first time I went bankrupt, though that was a teacher. Not the second time either. It was a quieter moment than that, less dramatic, which is perhaps why it stayed with me. I was sitting alone after a series of losses, not catastrophic by my standards at that point, but consistent enough to be alarming, and I made myself do something I had never done before. I reconstructed every trade I had made in the previous 3 months, not to find the market mistake, but to find the me mistake. The moment where I had departed from what I knew to be right and followed instead what I felt, and what I found horrified me. The losing trader had been with me far more often than I realized. He had been whispering, and I had been listening, and I had told myself each time that I had a good reason. I had no good reasons. I had emotions dressed in the clothing of reasons. That is the most dangerous thing the losing trader inside you will ever do. He will dress his emotions in logic, and he will do it so convincingly that you will believe him every single time until you train yourself not to. So how do you train yourself? How do you look at a losing trade, not with shame, not with rage, not with the desperate urge to immediately make it back, but with the clear eyes of someone who is committed to learning from it? The answer is deceptively straightforward, and it will require more from you than you think. You build a record. You keep a trading journal, not of the numbers, but of the thoughts. Every trade you take, you write down not just the price and the position, you write down why you took it, what you were feeling when you entered, what you were feeling when you exited, and what the difference was between what you planned to do and what you actually did. Over time, patterns emerge, and those patterns will show you your losing trader more clearly than any mirror ever could. I did not have that practice early in my career. I relied on memory. And memory is the enemy of honest self-assessment because we unconsciously edit our memories to protect our ego. Writing forces you to be honest in the moment before the ego has had a chance to revise the story. When I finally implemented this kind of rigorous self-tracking, my trading transformed, not immediately, not without setbacks, but permanently and irreversibly. Because once you can see yourself clearly, you cannot unsee it. The losing trader loses his power over you the moment you can name exactly what he is doing and exactly when he is doing it. There is something else I want to address, because it speaks to something that destroyed me more than once, and I see it destroying traders on this channel's comment section every week. It is the question of position sizing, of how much you put into any single trade. The losing trader inside you believes that the way to recover from losses is to bet bigger. He convinces you that a larger position will accelerate your return to even, that one good trade can undo months of damage. This is one of the most seductive and lethal lies he tells. Because what a larger position actually does is amplify your emotions. It makes the ordinary swings of the market feel catastrophic. It makes rational decision-making nearly impossible. And when the trade goes against you, as large trades so often do, because you took them impulsively, at the wrong time, for the wrong reasons, the damage is not just financial. It breaks your confidence. It breaks your nerve. And a trader without nerve is finished. I learned to size my positions based not on how much I wanted to make, but on how much I could lose without it affecting my thinking. That is the standard. If a loss of this size would change how I feel tomorrow, I am already too large. If it would cause me to second-guess my next trade, I am too large. Your position size should be determined by the boundary of your emotional composure, not by the size of your ambition. Write that down. Put it somewhere you will see it before every single trade you take for the rest of your trading life. Now, I want to speak to those of you who are newer to this channel, and I want those of you who have been with us longer to hear this too, because it matters. This channel is built as a journey. Every video connects to the ones before it and sets up the ones that come after. We have spoken about how to read market conditions, about when the market is telling you to be aggressive and when it is telling you to stand aside. We have spoken about the psychology of the tape, about what price action reveals that fundamentals never will. If you have not explored those videos yet, I want you to go to this channel right now after you finish this one and begin working through them in order. Leave a comment below telling me which video hit you hardest, because your comments guide what we create next, and I read them. The community you are building here, with your engagement, your questions, your honest reflections, that community is part of what makes this education real. And if you are ready to go deeper than any single video can take you, the ebook is waiting. Thinking like Jesse Livermore, mastering the market with discipline, patience, and risk. It is in the description of this video, and it has been from the beginning. Everything in that book is an extension of everything on this channel: the discipline, the patience, the hard psychological reckoning that turns a reactive trader into a deliberate one. Grab it, study it. Let it challenge you in the way that real growth always challenges you, with discomfort that leads somewhere worth going. Let me bring you to where I want to leave you today, because I have been building to this from the very first word. The losing trader within you is not your enemy. He is a version of you that has not yet been given the right information, the right framework, the right level of honest self-confrontation. He developed out of fear. He developed out of impatience, out of ego, out of the very human need to feel certain in an uncertain world. You cannot destroy him by fighting him. You outgrow him by becoming someone he no longer fits. That is the word I chose for the title of this video deliberately. Outgrow. Not defeat. Not eliminate. Outgrow. Because the process of becoming the trader you need to be is the process of becoming a more complete human being, one who can sit in uncertainty without flinching, who can take a loss without unraveling, who can wait through silence without abandoning the plan, who can hold a winner with the same calm that they hold a losing position when cutting it, is the only right answer. The market does not just test your strategy. It tests your character, your maturity, your honesty, your nerve. I made and lost fortunes that would stagger the imagination. I stood at the pinnacle of the financial world, and I stood in the ruin of bankruptcy more than once. I am not telling you this to mythologize my story. I am telling you this because the space between those two extremes is where everything I have ever shared with you lived. The losses taught me more than the wins, but only because I eventually got honest enough to listen to what they were teaching. The day you stop blaming the market and start asking what it is revealing about you, that is the day you begin to outgrow the losing trader within you. That day can be today. It can be right now, in this moment, with this decision to commit not just to better trades, but to becoming a better trader. A more honest one. A more patient one, a more self-aware one. That commitment, made and renewed every single day you sit down in front of your screen, is the only edge that can never be taken from you. The market will take your money if you let it. It cannot take your growth unless you let it do that too. Do not let it. Go back through this channel, watch the videos, study the principles. Drop a comment below right now. Tell me where your losing trader shows up most. Is it in your entries, your exits? Your position sizing, your patience, or your lack of it? Tell me, and tell the community, because honesty shared has a power that private honesty rarely does. We grow together here, or we do not grow at all. And one final time, the description of this video holds the link to Thinking Like Jesse Livermore, Mastering the Market with Discipline, Patience, and Risk. That book is not a shortcut. Nothing in this world worth having ever came from a shortcut. It is a deeper road into everything we are building here, together. Take it. The market opens again tomorrow. The only question is who will be sitting at that screen, the trader you have always been, or the one you are becoming. Choose carefully, choose deliberately. The market will know the difference.